Hi, my name's Leo and I'm a boat builder and a sailor. A few years ago I bought a very old and quite famous wooden sailing boat for the price of $1. And since then I've been rebuilding that boat from the keel up with the help of a lot of amazing people. Now this video is about trying to resolve our propeller pitch issue by adjusting the propeller. It's about going out for sea trials, it's about running aground, and it's also about finding out that we actually have a much bigger issue than we thought with the propeller situation. So make sure to watch to the end of the video to find out what we discovered. And I hate to say it, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It's a free way of actually helping us out. Thanks. So in our last video, we went out for our first sea trial and everything went really smoothly, except we did notice we had a bit of an overpropping issue. And what that means is that the pitch of the propeller, so the angle of the propeller blades, isn't matched to how the system is designed in terms of how fast the engine turns, how fast the gearbox turns, and how fast the prop shaft turns, and the propeller itself. Now this is a relatively common problem, and luckily with our style of propeller, it's not too difficult to change the pitch to try and match the rest of the system. What's happening right now is that the pitch of the propeller is too coarse. So for every revolution, it's trying to move too much water. And what that means is that the engine can't get up to its full revolution. So the engine is supposed to get up to 2,800 RPM, but we're only able to get it up to 2,000 RPM. And that's because there's too much strain on the prop for the engine to reach its full revolutions, and until it does reach its full revolutions, it's not operating at max power or max efficiency. Now you might think that doesn't really matter, as we were already achieving close to hull speed, over 8 knots with the current setup, but it would invalidate the engine warranty, and you can actually damage the engine like that if you're not careful about how you operate it. So the first thing that we're going to try is we're going to send a diver down to adjust the propeller pitch. He's going to reduce the pitch so that the propeller is trying to move less water per revolution. That should put less strain on the engine, and then hopefully when we go out to test it again, the engine will be able to get up to its full RPM.
Alright, got it.
Yeah.
So this is the forward hub.
Yeah. Yeah, that moved so easily.
So go ahead and tighten back up the lock screw.
We're doing catch practice.
Wait a little.
Let's do a couple more, maybe a little faster, to simulate boat.
Simulate a seaway?
Yeah, this is the seaway.
Okay.
Okay, so we're about to go out on our second sea trial, and the purpose of today's sea trial is to check if the adjustments to the prop have made any difference in how our engine runs. Should be pretty relaxed. It's a nice day, it's just a little bit of wind out there. There is a very low tide today, maybe the lowest I've ever seen it actually, so I am a little bit nervous about potential for running aground, which might happen just at the harbour mouth. If it does on a day like today, it's really not a big deal. The tide will be rising and it's a soft bottom, so I think I'm willing to take that risk. In this case, it might just be a little bit embarrassing if we get stuck there for hours, but yeah, I think worth it to get out there and get some more testing done. All right, you ready? All right, let's do it. Let's get our lines singled up so we're ready to go. Okay. Ready? It's all you.
they're totally good. Yeah. And you can see the Corvette was throwing up some mud when they were maneuvering around here.
Right.
Just stirred it up a little bit, feeling pretty shallow.
Might have Nick call the depths. Wow. It's very low.
We can wait.
If we go ground, it doesn't really matter. It's just embarrassing.
Never seen it that low.
No, me neither.
Skipper, there's a boat coming through. I think you're golden, buddy. That was pretty tight, though.
I think it went down to 7.5.
Yeah, for real. I heard that number and I was like,
Okay, we're clear, Nick.
nice, dude.
Holy
Sick.
shit.
That was f***ing rad.
Now you know you can go out on pretty much any tide.
Yep.
It's a pretty
And
narrow
make it
slot.
by like 1 inch. We must have been a crap
Nah,
fall
there's like 8, 12 inches of sludge.
I think I felt some sludge.
I think you're
Nah,
bad.
dude.
I felt it too. Yeah, we only got 100 RPMs out of that. So, I just need to talk to somebody from Perry Prop. So they said the max you can do is a half a turn, but there wasn't any positive stop or anything that Brian felt, so I don't know if it's the exact right prop or not. So I just need to talk to them.
Okay,
Standing by for further instructions.
Basically, once we get in, we'll do the same procedure as before.
Okay.
So, midships, spring, leading forwards.
I gotta break it in.
Alright, well now we wait. The key thing when going to ground is to look like you meant to do it. So,
You know,
we
relax
just need to get some gin and tonics on deck.
Hell yeah. We just take this opportunity to land the drone.
Yeah, exactly.
Ballings.
I'm gonna jump out and walk to the courthouse.
You can stand here.
I'm sure.
Now we can drive around.
kind of sailors. Those who've run aground and liars.
So after our second sea trial, which included the comedic event of going aground for 5 minutes, we actually haven't got any closer to figuring out what our problem is. We were hoping that by adjusting the pitch we'd be able to get higher RPM on the engine, and we got it a little bit higher but nowhere near the 2,800 RPM that we should be getting. So something's not quite right. We're not quite sure what it is. We're talking to VariProp because we may have just adjusted it wrong or not enough. So I'm sure we'll get it figured out. We're going to move on to some other projects and come back to this when we've got some more information.
So I am right now preparing to drill basically a series of larger and larger holes so that I can fit this vent in and get it installed. Nice, very nice.
So on a wooden boat, in fact on any boat, ventilation is really, really important. Having air move through the boat draws out moisture, which is better for the wood, it's better for the furnishings, it's better for the long-term maintenance, it's better for everything. So to improve ventilation on Tally Ho, we've added these two mushroom vents right at the bow of the boat, as far forward as we can. George did a great job of putting these in. We had to move the bowsprit out of the way for this one, but it's going to go back down. And we've also got ventilation right at the stern of the boat. Having that ventilation at either end helps allow air to move all the way through without leaving sort of stale, stagnant pockets of air. and it should be really good for the boat overall in the long term. So I'm sitting on the foredeck right now on the port side, and right below me is the head, and right below this fitting is the holding tank, the black water tank, waste tank. It's essentially where all the poo goes. And on this boat, like many boats, when we use the head, which flushes with seawater, we have the option of either pumping directly overboard, which is what you can do when you're a certain distance offshore, or you have the option of pumping into the holding tank to store the waste until you can pump it out at a facility or further offshore. Now, I'm very excited to try out the head facilities on this boat, but before I do so, I want to calibrate the tank so that we know when it's full. And so what I'm going to do is fill it up in 5-gallon increments and then make a note of the gauge reading at each increment. That way, when we're using the tank, finally we'll be able to know when it's getting full, and that's important because if you overfill it, it all starts coming out a vent on the side of the boat, and nobody wants that. So now I'm down below in the head, and the black water tank is just the other side of that bulkhead, but the gauge is up here, and this is a pretty cool style of unit. It's called a tank tender. These are made locally, and they've been made like this for a long time. They're very simple, very low tech, and all it is a little manual pump here, and there's a very thin air line which goes from here into the top of the tank and then down to the bottom, and when you pump it, it just compresses the air that's in that small tube. This meter just gives you a reading of that compression, but it reads it off in inches of liquid. I'm just doing a chart here with how many inches correlates to how many gallons, because it's an irregularly shaped tank, so that's the only way we can actually know truly how much is in there with each reading on the meter. So so far I'm 15 gallons in, and I think this tank has a capacity of maybe 60 gallons. Paddy, do you remember?
We wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah.
But
well, we'll find out soon.
there you go.
Alright, so now we're on 20 gallons. I hold this button in and pump it. 22 inches. It's right on 40, huh? That's amazing. The gallons matches the inches exactly. Surprising. So we've had a breakthrough and we've figured out what's going on with our propeller and why the boat is so overpropped right now. And it's a bit of a problem. So basically, due to a communication error several years ago, we somehow ended up with a different gearbox on the engine to the one that we thought we had. So we'd done all of our planning when designing our system with a 2.5 to 1 ratio gearbox. So that means for every time the engine itself rotates 2.5 times, the propeller and the prop shaft just rotates once. And we designed our propeller, spec'd our propeller to that speed. Now it turns out that the gearbox we actually have on the engine that actually arrived is not a 2.5 to 1, it's a 2 to 1. So every time the engine spins 2 times, the propeller spins once. So the propeller, because it was designed to spin slower, is larger, has more surface area, and that's why the engine isn't able to reach its full RPM, because there's more resistance in the water. It's trying to move more water than it's designed for, and it can't reach that speed. So we tried earlier on lowering the resistance of the prop by adjusting the pitch, so it's not trying to move so much water, but it's such a big difference that we can't adjust it enough to make up all those RPM. So the long and short of it is that we basically either have to replace the gearbox and change it from a 2-to-1 to a 2.5-to-1, a slower gearbox, or we have to change the propeller and put a smaller prop on the boat. Now there's pros and cons to either option, but basically either way it's going to be quite a bit of work and quite a bit of money. Changing the gearbox is more work but potentially less cost. Changing the prop is potentially less work but more money, and it also involves hauling the boat out. So I got some thinking to do to figure out which option we can do, which option is going to be best overall long term, which is going to let us go sailing this summer if it's one or the other, and which we're going to go ahead with. Although this new development is a little bit frustrating, I still feel really good about having the boat in the water and how the project is going right now, and I'm glad that we pushed ahead with our launch a little bit early because it let us find and work out this issue in time to get it sorted before the summer hopefully, and meanwhile we're still finishing off lots and lots of other things on the boat. So it's not the end of the world, just got to make a decision and get the work done. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and a massive thank you to everyone who has donated or otherwise supported this project. It does make a huge difference. It means we're able to carry on doing this work and we're able to keep on making and editing these videos. So I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.